I love traveling, but I've realized I keep making the same travel mistakes over and over again. Not the huge dramatic ones, more like the small things that make a trip feel more rushed, more tiring, or even more expensive than it needed to be. And after looking back at all the different trips sitting in my camera roll, I've realized that the best trips are not always the ones where everything goes perfectly. They're usually the ones where there was enough time to enjoy the food, enough space to slow down, and at least a few moments that actually stayed with you after the trip was over. So these are 10 travel mistakes that I keep making and what I'm trying to do differently next time. The first mistake is trying to fit way too much into one day. This is the one I keep making because when I'm planning a trip, everything sounds doable. One hike, one beach, one restaurant, one activity, one sunset spot. It all looks fine on paper, but in real life, that turns into driving, parking, walking, waiting, getting hungry, and then rushing through the thing that I was actually excited about. And the funny part is, when I look back at my favorite travel memories, they're not always from the days where I did the most. They're usually from the days where there was enough space to actually enjoy where I was. So now I'm trying to plan fewer things per day, but choosing better things. 1 or 2 main plans, food built in, and enough room for the day to breathe. The second mistake is underestimating how long everything takes. On the map, everything looks 20 minutes away, but in real life, it's never just the drive. It's finding parking, walking from the parking lot, figuring out the entrance, waiting in line, stopping for food, using the bathroom, getting back to the car, and then realizing the next place is not as close as it looked. This is especially true in scenic places, big cities, islands, or anywhere with narrow roads, crowds, or limited parking. The distance is not always the problem. The whole process around the distance is what takes time. So now I try to add buffer time, even if it feels boring while planning, because the trip feels so much better when every stop does not feel like a race. The third mistake is assuming I can figure out the popular things later. Sometimes that works, but sometimes the thing people talk about for a reason really need to be booked ahead of the time. Sunrise reservations, parking, popular restaurants, boat tours, museums, specific hikes, any beach reservations or entry passes. Those are not always things you can casually decide the day before. So now I try to pick the top 1 or 2 things that would be annoying to miss, and I book those early. Everything else can stay flexible. The fourth mistake is not checking the weather properly. And I don't mean just checking if it's going to rain. I mean checking the actual temperature, wind, elevation, time of the day, and what the weather feels like in that specific area. Because a beach day, a hike, and a mountain sunset can all be in the same trip and require completely different outfits. And I've been in situations where I dress for the place in my head, not the actual conditions. And travel weather can be humbling very quickly. So now I'm trying to check weather by activity, not just by destination. What does the hike feel like? What does sunset feel like? And what does the morning feel like? Cute outfits are great, but being uncomfortable for hours is not the memory that I'm trying to create. The fifth mistake is treating food like an afterthought. I used to plan the places first and assume food would just happen somewhere in between. And technically it does. But when the day gets busy, food either becomes rushed, random, too late, or whatever is nearby when everyone is already tired. But honestly, food is one of the biggest parts of travel. Sometimes the meal itself becomes the memory. The drink you ordered every day, the snack you found by accident, the random restaurant after a long day, the food you still think about months later. So now, I try to plan at least a few food moments intentionally. Not every meal needs to be famous or perfect, but food deserves a spot in the itinerary. The sixth mistake is planning around photos instead of energy. Some places look amazing online, and then you get there and realize the full experience is a long drive, a steep walk, crowds, heat, wind, or a schedule that makes the whole day feel stressful. And I'm not saying that photos don't matter. I love having memories to look back on. But I'm learning that a trip should not be planned only around what will look good later. It also has to feel good while it's happening. So now I try to ask, is this something I actually want to experience? Or am I adding it because it looks pretty? Because there's a big difference between a place that photographs well and a place that feels worth your energy. The seventh mistake is not researching how hard an activity actually is. This especially applies to hikes, outdoor activities, long walking days, water activities, and anything that sounds casual in a travel vlog. Moderate hike can mean very different things depending on the trail, the weather, the mud, your shoes, and how much you already did that day. And sometimes the activity is worth it, but it helps to know what you're signing up for. So now I try to look beyond the pretty photos. I check recent reviews, trail conditions, parking, timing, what shoes people recommend, and whether the activity makes sense with the rest of the day. Because worth it does not mean easy, but it's better to know before you're halfway up a trail wondering why you made this decision. The eighth mistake is not leaving enough slow time. This sounds simple, but it changes everything. If every hour of the trip is planned, there's no room for the random coffee, the second drink, the slow walk, the shop you didn't expect to like, the view you wanted to sit with longer, or the meal that takes more time than planned. And those are usually the moments that make the trip feel like a real memory instead of just a list of places you completed. I think a good trip needs structure, but it also needs space. Enough plans to make the trip feel smooth, but enough empty time for the trip to surprise you. So now I try to leave pockets of time with no major plan, just food, walking, exploring, or absolutely doing nothing for a little bit. The ninth mistake is not filming enough of the in-between moments. Not everything needs to be filmed, but I've realized that later the clips that make a trip feel real are not always the big attractions. It's the airport snack, the messy hotel room, the random walk, the drink on the table, the road clip, the food before anyone remembers to take a nice photo. Those small clips are what make a travel video feel more like a memory instead of a highlight reel. So now I try to record a few tiny moments throughout the day, not for perfection, just to remember what the trip actually felt like. Because the big views are beautiful, but the small clips are usually what bring the whole day back. And the 10th mistake is thinking that the trip has to go perfectly to be worth it. Something will probably go wrong. A plan will change. The weather will shift. A place will be way more crowded. A restaurant will disappoint. And something will take longer than expected. And when I'm in the moment, I can get annoyed because I had a certain vision of the trip in my head. But later, when I look back, the imperfect parts don't always ruin the memory. Sometimes they make the trip feel more real. The trip does not have to be perfect to be worth it. It just has to give you a few moments you're glad you had. A good meal, a view that made everyone quiet, a random laugh, a song in the background, a place that felt different from normal life, and a clip you're happy you kept. That's usually enough. So these are the travel mistakes I keep making. Trying to do too much, underestimating time, forgetting food, planning for the photo instead of energy, not leaving space, and expecting the trip to go exactly the way it looked in my head. But I also think that's also what makes the travel more interesting. You learn what actually matters to you. And for me, the trips that stay with me are usually not the ones where every plan went perfectly. They're the ones with the meals I still remember, the places that felt different than normal life, and the small moments that somehow became the whole point. So next time, I'm trying to plan a little better, leave a little more space, and remember that a trip does not need to be packed to be meaningful. It just needs a few moments worth keeping.